What up everyone, Clayton here, and today we're back with another Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist. This is a video series I do every week where I talk about some of the comments you guys leave on previous wishlists, and we talk about how they could be added to the next Elder Scrolls game, and how they would improve it, and how it would really work. So let's go ahead and get started with the first one. The first one is from Dover Dweller. He says, they should add better faction battles by adding a lot more friendly enemy AI, and where you can actually use siege weapons, and they should be an option where you can sabotage enemy equipment before starting the battle, where it's easier to win the battle. And another type of option is where you can assassinate the enemy commander for that battle, where the enemies in the battle are less strategic. And all of that, with all that said, in this comment would make a faction more interesting. So yeah, what I think he's trying to say is, like, if they add another Civil War option or another war option to be able to actually do things with that. The Civil War in Skyrim was pretty bad. It was pretty much like, take this fort, invade the city, alright, you're done. And then like a couple side missions here and there. There was no really strategic diversity with it. You couldn't be like, okay, we're gonna go take this battle, go ahead and like go kill the person that's in charge of it, like he was saying, or you could like maybe raid like a caravan of their armaments or something. I know there was quests that you could do that, but you don't really have the options to like pick and choose. But then again, it would be kind of difficult to do that because then everything's gonna be different, and you can't really lose the battle. Well, I guess that could be another option where you can actually lose the battle if you mess up, or maybe you die in the battle. That way you like actually have a negative effect for not playing it out strategically, and if you beat everyone, maybe your army won't beat everyone. I don't know, it's just something you have to think about, especially if they're going to do more with the Thalmor in the next game, where maybe there's like a Great War 2, and they're gonna have to have more like factions fighting each other, like the Altmire Dominion versus the Empire, or maybe some Altmire Dominion versus some Rebel forces. Another thing I wanted to talk about was from Overlord Parkour. He says, more gore is always fun. Like in Fallout, you have body parts flying everywhere, but that would not make sense for Skyrim. Or for Elder Scrolls game. And yeah, they could have the option of putting gore in, but for whatever reason, Elder Scrolls game has always been a little bit more laid back when it comes to gore than Fallout. In Skyrim, you have the opportunity to chop people's heads off, and that's pretty much about it. You don't really have limbs flying everywhere. But that could be a slider, you know, like maybe like turn gore on or off. I'm going to compare it to Gears of War. Gears of War is a really gore game, but you can actually turn the gore off. Instead of like blowing someone apart with your shotgun, it just kills them and they fall to the ground. This actually helps with lag. It won't lag as much with all the blood going everywhere, and people done it before just to keep that a little bit of an advantage. It wouldn't really work on the Elder Scrolls game, but having the option to make it more gory, if you prefer that, that'd be amazing to have for people who would want that. I'm not really too much into gore. It doesn't really bother me either way. I think the chopping off head things is pretty cool in the kill cam, but I'm just gonna stick with my regular Elder Scrolls with no gore. But yeah, having a slider maybe to say I want gore on or off would be pretty cool, and definitely have that like as soon as the game starts, so if someone doesn't want it, they don't have to see it if they don't want to. So the last thing I want to talk about is actually something I don't know if I want to say come up with, but kind of was thinking about when I saw some of the comments from previous videos, and that is it bad or good to have a build at the end of a game do, you know, thousands of damage and is not contested by any of the enemies? Is that something that the Elder Scrolls games need to fix, or is that something that the game, like the people want about the game, that they can get to this point where they can murder anything and don't have to worry about it? Because I was thinking, there's a lot of builds out there that if you get enough smithing and enchanting, you will never die, and you'll do tons and tons of damage to the point where like no enemy will really be matched to you, except for maybe some of the extreme bosses, just like the Ebony Warrior, or maybe Karstag, the Ice Giant. But I was thinking, is it something that Bethesda needs to do to make the game fun? More fun, I guess I could say. Or is it more fun to be able to go to the end of the game and stomp everything? Or is it more fun to, you know, struggle a little bit, have to play strategically at the end game? Because early game, if you play on master difficulty at your early levels, you're probably going to struggle a little bit unless you have like the best build ever for whatever you are doing. But you're going to have difficulty, you're going to die a couple times, and that's just kind of the fact of the game. But after you get to that certain point, even on master difficulty, you have your smithing and enchanting to 100, you have all your skills up to 100, you're pretty much unstoppable, which makes sense for what your class is going to be and like what your levels are. But is this something that needs to be changed in the next game, where when you hit that mark where you're like unlimited power, do you need to like have a way to make enemies stronger so you actually are faced, like you're actually gonna take a challenge, or is this challenge not really part of the Elder Scrolls game and that's something that people need to go to The Witcher for? That's kind of something I want to talk about with you guys, and something I want you guys to comment down below is, what do you think if they changed it from being late game, you're unstoppable force, you never die, nothing ever bad happens to you, or you actually struggle in the late game because no build can actually make you, 100% unkillable? Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to leave your comments about our last thing we talked about, as well as if you guys want your ideas featured in the next video, go ahead and leave them down below. I'll try to get to you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And this is Clayton, signing out.